Hey, howdy, hey, what's up? Welcome back to another speed build starring, that's right, me. I'm calling this little one Sandwich Sanctuary. I know, I'm hilarious. Um, so that's the build. That's what it's called. Um, the whole idea for this was I wanted to make something fun and beachy and also kind of magical. Specifically in terms of the spellcaster I imagined living here, I was thinking someone who's really into making potions and plants. So you will see that expressed quite a bit in this build. But for now, this is sort of the beginning where it's just taking shape. This entire shape was just completely, I made it up as I went. And I think for making it up as I went, this is pretty solid. The only thing that I really came in having like a plan for was I knew I wanted the stairs in the front to go kind of like that. And I might have had the idea that I wanted something diagonal somewhere because I just like putting diagonals and stuff. It's something I've really begun embracing lately, and I'm glad I have because I feel like so many people are scared of diagonals, and really that's their loss. But you know what? Sucks to suck. Anyway, this build comes in just over 30K. It's not limited pack or anything. It is one bedroom, one bath. It's essentially a studio inside. It might have qualified for a tiny house, but I wasn't thinking about it when I built it, so I didn't try and figure that out. And honestly, I kind of don't care. Anyway, and just thinking what features this has kitchen, a living room, a bathroom, which you're gonna be real disappointed by. Don't worry, so am I. A bedroom, which is not at all like sectioned off with walls, hence why it's a studio. A little sunroom where I put the cauldron and a like a back balcony porch, whatever, that overlooks the water. And I think it turned out quite nice. And this is coming from someone who despises water and the beach. So I did something right. Mm, anyway, uh, I'm finally putting in like all the fun colors. I really went all in with like the not quite beige, but like the sort of sandy tones. And I personally think it turned out nice because I kind of juxtaposed that with some bright pops of color. And I think overall that turns out, it's kind of quirky, kind of fun. And I like doing quirky, fun things. And like I put a blue refrigerator or teal or seafoam, some sort of fun color. And I just tried to make this a nice, fun, bright place. And I do think I achieved that. Anyway, um, while the build is taking shape, I want to just take a moment to say that I apologize if you hear me sound really distracted. There's a bug in my room. Also, there's a really bad thunderstorm outside, so if you hear thunder, that's not my fault. That's the atmosphere or whatever. And also, my house has been losing power on and off the past couple of days because of, I don't know if it's because of specifically like the weather or we've been having some really intense heat lately or just something has been going horribly wrong with everything. I got rained on today, like really badly, which was so fun. But it was an excuse to take a shower, and I'm glad I did that because I feel very clean right now. Anyway, back to the build. This is the little back garden area. I'm gonna just call it that because that makes the most sense to me. Sort of like a back garden area. I wanted to use those tall planters from Eco Lifestyle, and I just wanted to have it be like, a space where you can make your plant for your potions. And then we're back in the living room. I really tried to use as much island living furniture and architectural piece stuff in general as possible. I think I achieved like a pretty decent mix of like island living and other packs so that it still feels kind of like authentic to that vision I originally had. Um, Also, this is the bathroom. It is the saddest, most pathetic bathroom I've ever made, and I do not apologize because I just did not care at that point. Um, but yes, so I tried to use as much island living as possible, but I also didn't want to be afraid to use other stuff. So I also used some Snowy Escape for you saw the what's it called? The part that comes down. You know what I mean. That for some of the walls, for some windows, and I personally like how that turned out. And I also use like spot egg for some of that as well. Again, I kind of I enjoyed myself with this one. I had a fun time mixing and matching stuff that came in similar tones. Anyway, we're finally kind of starting on the interior, and this is where I tried to achieve another kind of through line. That being, I wanted to use a lot of like wicker and rattan textures because that feels just very beachy to me. Again, I say as someone who does not go to the beach, who does not particularly do beachy things. The beachiest thing I did was today when I ran through a parking lot and got completely drenched. My shoes are probably still wet. And then drove down the street and realized it is so flooded, I can't make it down the street. And I had to turn around. It was really bad. Um, yeah, it's been ridiculous. And I am so glad that I live like elevated because the flooding gets bad around here. But yes, this is the bedroom space that I mentioned earlier. It's just a small little bedroom space, very utilitarian. I don't end up putting a dresser on this build, but I think that's okay because, like, let's be real, I don't think it really needs it. Um, I do put a mirror though, so there's I believe two mirrors. And also with the couch and the dining table, I kind of like how I had that weird arrangement of like the chairs in weird places, all kind of like around the couch. Honestly, I thought it was fun. I thought it was quirky. I like how it turned out. And then I also end up using Desert Luxe curtains here. So I also like how that turned out just because I like the island living curtains. I think they are good for the space. However, I just didn't like the colors they were coming in and the way that they were kind of overlapping each other and just couldn't decide who was occupying that space. Which I mean, you're you're good to do that, my friend. The laws of physics don't know either. Um, anyway, now we're finally kind of getting into like the plants that I really wanted in this space. So this whole space between the bed and the window, I just fill up with plants. I think it looks really nice. Um, it kind of creates that sort of natural vibe without you like. So I'm sorry. So when I typically build for spellcasters, like in Glimmerbrook or something, I like to go really in with like the plants and the natural vibes. But obviously, I'm over the water, so you can't have like trees leaning in the window because where would the trees be growing? In salt water, which I don't think they really like to do usually. So instead, I have a bunch of potted plants. I just wanted to put them there in a place where they'll get lots of sun and lots of just like, you know, attention because you'll see them every time you go to bed. And I also put some back here, which I was thinking, the ones inside I was thinking are just like being grown for funsies. The ones out here I was thinking are being grown more specifically for what's growing on them, which is why I also put the planters out there. And also I didn't want to put like a skylight in here. It just wasn't the vibe. Anyway, that's about it for this bedroom. I also ended up using that cool like crystal lamp. I like that lamp a lot, and I just never have good opportunities to use it. So I'm so, so, so glad I actually used it here because I think it works. I think it's nice. And then, of course, more plants by the cauldron. This is like, again, this is for someone who likes plants. I even put like the werewolves thing with like the basil and the lavender. I tried to like have it be leaning, but anything that attaches to a wall, like from the outside, so like flower boxes, awnings, that kind of stuff, gets really weird when you try and lean it like that. So I was like, okay, you win. Anyway, I'm sort of finalizing some of the lighting right now. I wanted to go for not like super harsh, like artificial lighting, because technically the lighting is artificial because it's not, you know, sunlight or a naturally occurring fire. This is actually what I learned when I took a lighting design class, is that so long as a person had some role in the creation of that light source, it is technically artificial lighting. So, like a campfire is considered artificial lighting, even though fire itself is technically a natural thing. But the circumstances by which that fire came to be are not natural. So that's my little fun tirade from my lighting design class for you today. um, yeah, I took that class like a million years ago. Um, But like it was a good class, I will say. Like if you ever have a chance to take lighting design and you care at all about lighting design, do it. It's fun. It's so fun. Even if you're like me, you're not getting a degree in like theater or anything. My degree is in genetics, and I took lighting design, and it was like one of my favorite classes I've ever taken. Anyway, rant aside. Um, honestly, there's not really much to say about the build. It just kind of comes together, does its whole thing, um, and I don't know. It kind of speaks for itself, which means I can talk about work and all the fun things at work. Just kidding. There are no, that's not true. There are fun things. But there's also things I'm so mad about. I need to put someone on blast real quick. If you are in the market for a tattoo machine, which, hear me out, if you are looking to buy a tattoo machine, do yourself a favor and do not buy from Spalding and Rogers Manufacturing. So for the lab I work in, have to, we work with frogs and we have to tattoo the frog to identify them. And it's just like a quick little tattoo on the chest with like a number. Um, so we were intending to buy a tattoo machine to do this with, because we're going to be doing it a lot. May as well get a machine for it. And there was a company that my boss like had either she'd previously used or someone whose lab she'd worked in had previously used, and we were intending to buy from there. So several weeks ago, I placed an order for this tattoo machine, and like you know how it is, your card gets flagged for fraud because it's like a university, and it's like why are you buying a tattoo machine? And I had to like someone from the company called me like that afternoon and was like, hey, your card got flagged, and I was like, okay, I'll deal with that during the week. That was the only time I heard from these people. I tried so hard to email them, to call them, to get in contact because my tattoo machine never arrived. So finally, we had to like dispute it with the credit card company, and I don't even know how that's turning out because that's someone else's like department and like work, and I'm just so pissed about this. And I just had to rant about that because that is like it's like one of the weirdest problems I've ever had related to work, and yet I feel so strongly about this. I, I don't even want to get tattooed in real life. I've never tattooed a frog before, but I don't care. This is now like my raison d'etre, and like you're gonna have to deal with that. Anyway, this is the exterior. So I know I said that like I couldn't go super, planty because there's salt water, there's just water, it gets weird. But I wanted to have a lot of fun with like the landscaping, so I used a bunch of this grass. Um, in like the bright green because I was thinking this is a bright summery fun times build, and these trees in like the bright colors, and I just kind of surrounded like that last little bit of coastline with a bunch of really thick grass. And I told myself I don't have to go too realistic with it. I can put grass really close to the salt water, so I did, and I like it, and I'm happy about it. But yeah, so I also used those black volcanic rocks as kind of like pathway stones. Pro tip: if you click on the rocks themselves, that the game doesn't register that as part of the ground. So you actually have to click around it in the dirt to get your Sims to walk there. Like they'll walk over it. It's just like the game looks at that and doesn't say that's clickable ground, but it does say that's walkable ground. So that's an important thing you have to remember if you ever download this or any other build that has stuff like that. And the last thing I did was I did some bougainvillea, these red flowers, because they were in like the landscape around, and I really like them, and I thought they were just an amazing little extra touch to have in this build. Um, anyway, this is more or less what I have to share for the build. Thank you for watching. Um, if you'd like to download it, I have a website. Check it out. Um, or don't, or just look at it. I don't know. I don't download builds that I watch in speed builds, confession. But like sometimes I think about it, but like I usually don't, and I just go back to building and playing in my own builds. But again, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you do, let me know. If you didn't, you can also let me know, I guess. um, but the video is more or less over, and that is all I have to say today. Goodbye.